Well, I finally did it. I'm here after 2 years of planning and lots of logistics. I'm here in João Pessoa making music. I'm Dennis from Groove Art. I'm making music while wandering the world. Check the links below for some original music. About 2 years ago, or longer than that, I had this dream of coming here to live, at least part-time, to write music. And after over a year and a half and 2 years of planning and lots of logistics, I'm finally here. You may recall that from my other videos that I was looking for a place to park in Brazil. I spent some time in Sao Paulo, Rio, Maricá, Cabo Frio, and Niterói, to name a few. And at the end of my trip last year, I decided to come up here in the northeast of Brazil, which is a place called João Pessoa. And I love it up here. It's a great combination of great weather, a lot less hectic than Rio and Sao Paulo. And of course, I've got all this. So I thought I'd just bring you up to date a little bit as to where I am. I decided to come here and plant myself. I'm going to live here for about 3.5, 4 months. But all of that took lots of planning. I had my gear spread around different places in Brazil. I had some stuff in Rio. I had a bag with Tobias and my friend Tobias in Sao Paulo. I had stuff with a friend here or close to here, and I finally put it all together, and it's now all under the same roof. The first thing I did was I got a storage locker. That was actually more important than finding an apartment. The apartment certainly was nice to have and really important, but the locker was absolutely necessary. And I actually found that quickly, luckily, and was actually one of the last lockers. Why do I need a locker? As I say, I'm going to live here part-time, at least for now. And I have lots of suitcases as a traveler, maybe not a lot for someone who lives here, but I have my gear, my whole life is kind of in 9 suitcases, plus a big keyboard, a full-size keyboard, and a bicycle, which is my car. So I knew that when my time is up here for this year, that I would have to put it all and store it all away. So the first thing I did when I got here was look for a locker, and I found one, really nice location, and fit my budget, reasonably close to where I am. So I am staying in beautiful Cabo Branco, which is back that way. And this beach, this stretch goes on forever. And I'm kind of at the one end of it. So my locker is probably about 25-minute bike ride from where my apartment is. So I get to spend all my hours, as many hours as I want, writing music. I've got my system set up. I've got a link below if you want to see that system. I've got my system set up for music production, and I'm happy to report that I'm literally on the final hours of working on the last song before it goes to my producer for some review and some mixing, and it will get released very, very soon. But I'm on that last part of it, so I'm up and running. As soon as I got here, I had to do some organization to get up and running, find an apartment, find the locker, blah, blah, blah. But I got busy right away to finish my 6 tracks that I'm working on for my album, and those are almost done. So again, I wouldn't be able to be up and running if I didn't do all that planning well beforehand. I spent a lot of time, a lot of hours kind of architecting my life, if you will, up to this point. And so I'm really happy to tell you that I'm here. Why did I choose João Pessoa? as I mentioned earlier, it's a great combination of the things that I like. No city is absolutely 100% perfect, but when I was looking for a place to park, to live in Brazil, I was looking for something reasonably quiet, not too remote. So as I say, I spent time in Rio and Sao Paulo. I knew pretty well right away that I didn't want to live there. They're great places to visit. I really like the beaches in Rio, but it's just too hectic and too busy and very, very touristy. Here, it can be touristy. Having said that, I think I'm one of few foreign tourists. What I mean by that is someone who's not from Brazil. Uh, I'm sure I've seen a few, but there's not a whole lot of us. A lot of the tourists here are coming from other parts of Brazil, so I feel rather special. Um, so again, I picked this because it's a great, it's quiet, but not too quiet. So João Pessoa is a pretty big city, but they've got all this beach, and it's not a small little remote beach town where you can't get anything like good food, and there's still shopping malls and theaters. There's still movie theaters. There's still kind of city stuff to do around here. But if you want to spend all day at the beach, you certainly can. If you want to spend a lot of the evenings at the beach, you still can because it's so warm. It's it's just at the end of summertime. Summer ends March 21st, and we're almost there now. So we're at the tail end of officially of summer here in Brazil. But it's going to be like this for another couple more months, and it won't get cold like it is in many other places. So I love the climate here. One thing that was really important for me was infrastructure. As you may know, I'm on the bike every day. It's my transport system, it's everything. It's my exercise. I don't have a car here. I do everything on bike. I have a radius of about, I don't know, 30 kilometers. I don't do that every day, but I have ridden on my first week here. I think I rode 40 kilometers on one day, and then the next day I rode 30 kilometers. So maybe it's a 20-kilometer radius, but the bike is instrumental. And what I love about a lot of places in Brazil is bike lanes. They really, really thought that through. I'm sure it was an afterthought, but there are lots of bike lanes here. They're not all perfect. So the perfect one is the one here along the beach, and that stretches for about 7 kilometers before it runs out. You can still ride along the beach, but not perfectly. So there are other bike lanes in towards the city. Those are going to be a little bit dodgy every now and then. What I mean by that is they'll end all of a sudden, or they'll take you down a one-way road, or you will have to cross busy traffic to get to the other side of where the bike lane continues. So it's not perfect, but they're really nice to have, at least to separate you from traffic. Some people will drive in those, not cars, but motorcycles will sometimes be in there. So it's not ideal all the time, but it's great for me to have a little bit of an infrastructure to be able to get from A to B. I'm still learning my way around, but it's wonderful. The bike infrastructure here is beautiful. It's not crazy busy here. It can be during Carnival, which just ended last month. I wasn't actually here, but it can be busy, and it almost feels like a quiet day in Rio when it's busy here. But on a normal day, which is kind of today, it's Thursday today, so maybe the weekend's going to get busier, but it is, this beach will be more crowded on the weekend for sure. But normally the pace of life here is wonderful. There's a big beach culture. So you'll see people working out of the beach, playing sports into the evening. It gets dark here pretty well every day, all year long, at about 5:45 to 6, but it's still warm. You can hang out at the beach all day, 24 hours if you want, because it'll still be 27, 28 degrees in the summertime. In the wintertime, I don't know, maybe it'll cool down to 25. And the only thing you run into during the winter is rain. So I have my music workstation set up right in front of the window. I found an apartment with this view, believe it or not. And it's ideal for me. I love to be able to write music with that view. I spent the majority of my career in IT, so that meant spending a lot of time in front of computers. As I got older, I wanted to spend less time in front of machines, but with music and the world we live in, that's not really possible. So I have to sit in front of a machine a lot to edit and create sounds and build up my song. But if I'm going to do that, I like to feel like I'm outside all the time. If I could actually do all that work outside at the beach, I would. Of course, that's not possible. So the next best thing is having a workstation set up with a view of the water. So I have my workstation set up to look at this, and I feel less guilty about being inside when I can stay outside, when I can stay inside and look outside. This week has been really hectic. I've been pushing myself to get things out and trying to meet my own personal deadlines. And I think on Monday, a couple of days ago, that meant working. I think I started at 5 a.m. and by 2 p.m. I was dead tired, but I had the view there. And so I mean, obviously I would have loved to be outside, but having the view there really helped me kind of make it through and push through. And I felt a little less guilty about staying most of the day inside. I did get out, but for me, having a view of water is really important to me. And that was part of how I designed kind of my stay here, was to have that view. I think that's all I'm going to talk about for now. I just wanted to give you a quick update. Writing music here in Brazil, which has been a big dream of mine for a long time. I'm finally doing it. I'm finishing off this set, and as soon as I do that, I'm starting the next set from scratch. I have no ideas I have threads of ideas on the plate, but I'll be doing that cycle all over again and trying to get a few more ideas and tunes ready for recording in the summertime. Canada's summertime, that is. I will give you a more in-depth review of João Pessoa as I spend time here. But for now, I just wanted to get you up to date in terms of where I am and where my music is, and how I'm pretty happy that I made this goal. I'm Dennis from Groove Art. I make music while wandering the world. Check out the links below for some original music. Until next time, see you in the next video.